Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the big clean. I'm going to take you through some brushes that I've abused over the last week with painting, and I've done the thing that I usually don't do, and I've left paint in the brushes. Now I've been using airbrush acrylics and I've been using solvents as well. So the solvent one, which is the Creos PS290, we're going to clean that because that's got paint all down the cup and it's got paint inside. We've got two infinities and we've got an iwata that's had acrylic in it and has been left. So I'm going to start off with the bits that you're going to need to clean, which are nice and simple and cheap, guys. A little stainless steel pot like that. Excuse the noise, it's absolutely chucking it down. So a stainless steel pot. Cleaner of choice for me is 2K thinners. It just gets rid of paint straight away. Some airbrush cleaners can be quite mild. There are times when you do need to use mild airbrush cleaners, and I'll show you the places where, just to look out for. But I usually use thinners when it comes to the front end of the brush, anything from the front end of the brush forward, because these are all solvent proof. Nozzles and the gaskets and things to the front end are all sort of solvent proof, so I always use thinners from the front end forward. So I filled this half full with cleaner, just so we can soak some parts. I've got some water, just standard tap water in a bottle to flush through. We've got some cotton ball pads. We've got cotton buds, which are really handy. We've got some of the pipe cleaners on the brushes you get. You get these on Amazon, dirt cheap, a couple of quid. One of them with different cleaning heads on them. And we've got the little dentist flossing type sticks, same sort of thing but a lot smaller, and these come in really handy for your nozzles because they're really small on the little stick and you can get the nozzles clean. I've got some cutting compound on some half folded pieces of towel. You can use metal polish Brasso, whatever you've got to hand as a metal polish. So they're the cleaning bits. We've got a spanner, one of the spanners that comes in your either iwata box or creos box. Little spanner like that for taking the nozzles off. We've got some iwata superglue, and we've got some kitchen towel cut into folded and cut into 4 pieces, sort of like that. So the first one we're going to start off with is H&S. Now, if you've not seen a H&S brush stripped down, there's loads of videos on YouTube. People do them different ways. They take the fronts off and then they push the needles out through the front and they locate the needles in through the front. I've always took the back off, slid the needle out the back. People say you shouldn't be doing that because you're dragging paint up through the body. Now, if the brush is really dirty and you've got loads of paint in there, there will be times when I will push the needle out the front because you do drag paint through the body. But these have got paint in but not been left with paint overnight. They've been sort of blasted through, so there's paint on the cups and probably a little bit dry up on the needle. So stripping your H&S, we've got the Growler's Edition H&S. So I would basically take the back off first, undo the chuck, slide the needle out. We've got a little bit of paint, dried up paint on that needle. So put your needle to one side in a minute. Then you can take your cup off. Now your cup you can soak, so we're going to drop that in cleaner. You've got the prong cap to the front of the H&S, they just slide off, so that can be soaked. Then you can take your sort of cap that holds your nozzle in, you can take that off and slide the floating nozzle out. The floating nozzle can be dropped in cleaner. Now when it comes to this piece on the H&S, you've got a little rubber washer that goes round that thread and butts up to the front of the air cap. I wouldn't soak these in cleaner because if you soak them in thinners, these rubber bands tend to expand, then they sort of shrink back, they expand and shrink back, and after time they go brittle and they break. So don't put that in cleaner. I usually just get one of your bits of kitchen towel, just slightly put a bit of cleaner on the end and just wipe the front end because it's usually the front of this that you'll get a little bit of build-up of paint on. So just give that a wipe, and that's clean. That's as far as you need to clean that, because there's nothing else that sort of goes into that. The paint doesn't go into that, that's where the air goes round the nozzle and comes through the hole at the front. So that piece is clean, you can put that to the side. You can then hold the bit of your chuck at the back, pull that back and pinch, and then you can slide your trigger out. So it's nice and simple. And then when you let that go, the spring pulls it back in. And if you look inside the body, that bar that's in the slip there, that is the bit that holds your trigger in place. So when you pull that back, you can see there it's sort of pulled back, and then when you let that go, it slides back up, and that's the bit where you would pull back, get your trigger, drop your trigger in, let that go, and then that is your trigger in. It's really, really simple to do, and that's why I like these brushes, especially when it comes to cleaning. They're just nice and easy. So that's that piece off. You can take this piece out, which leaves you with the front end of the H&S. Now, when I said at the beginning about putting solvents, there's places to put solvents and there's places not to. Now, I wouldn't put any solvent down in here, because this is where your air valve sits. If you've got any paint there, just use soapy water with a cotton bud and clean down in here. So you're basically putting the cotton bud inside there, so you can see where the cotton bud is inside. Just give that little twist through, clean that way, go down that way and clean that way. Got a little bit of paint down there, so just give that a little clean. And that would be the inside of this piece clean. Now when it comes to the front end here, I just give it a little soak down to here, down to about there, where you see this piece. You can just soak that in cleaner like that, and you can leave the cleaner going down the front end and just cleaning your brush, soaking that. Now your needle, this has got a bit of paint on it. Get a bit of kitchen towel. I usually drop a couple of drops of thinners on, and it's a case of just pinch and slide through. Pinch, twist and slide through. That's all you've got to do. Just be careful you don't stab yourself, because these needles are very sharp. So do that. That gets you paint off the needle. Like that. So you'll see, you'll get that sort of mark that comes up on your kitchen towel when you slide your needle through. Now what I usually do with these is Dremel. Now if you've got a Dremel or a drill, Dremels are good because you can turn them down. They've got a speed setting. You want to turn your Dremel right down. This goes down to 5. Drop your Dremel speed down and double check your Dremel speed. You don't want it spinning at 45 or 35, because your needle that stands out the end of it will tend to do this, and then it will hit your surface and bend your needle. So you've got to turn your Dremel right down. Or if you've got a cordless drill, you can turn it down. So we've got the speed down to 5, and then your needle will spin like that and it won't bounce. So nice and slow on needle spinning like that. Get your cutting compound, just go around your needle like that, so you're basically pinching over your needle, turn your Dremel on, and then just do the same thing as you did with cleaning it with the cleaner with the kitchen towel. Just slide and pinch the needle, let it spin in there for a few minutes. Like that, and then you can see the dirt that comes off that. So that's how you'll polish your needle, and that's silky smooth now. Take your needle out, and that's ready, cleaned and polished, ready to go back in your brush. Put that to one side again. You can now start to clean the front end of your brush. So that's had a little soak in the front end. Cotton bud down into the body, like that. A little twist round. This will get rid of any paint that's sitting at the bottom. Cotton buds are really handy, guys, for airbrushes. They really are, and they're cheap as well. For a big box of cotton buds is like £1. Then you can put a cotton bud in here and give this a good clean on the inside of that body there. Your cotton bud will stop so far on these, and you're just cleaning round, because this is where your floating nozzle pushes up against to this inside of the body here and makes a seal. So you want to keep this bit nice and clean in here. Good clean round in there. Wipe the body down, give it a good wipe down. Get any excess paint off. Just have a look down, make sure all your thread there is clean. So that one's clean on the front of that. Your cup has been soaking, so you can just give that wipe down. Make sure all the paint is off this thread on the cup. Pinch and clean that thread. That's your cup clean. The cap will get a little bit of paint round the outer part of that lid on the cap. You usually find on these they just gather a bit of paint up there. Make sure you clean that, because this is what clips onto the top of your cup, and if you've got loads of paint around there it won't sit on there right, and you have to really push down. So just make sure that is nice and clean, and then that fits on there nicely. If you've got loads of paint built up around there, you're trying to push it on. That can go back on your brush like that. Then you've got your nozzle. Now your floating nozzle inside is the one that's like the like that, and it's got your little Teflon washer on the end. Best way of cleaning these, get your little pipe cleaner, a really small dentist one, and they just slide nicely in there, and just pinch both and sort of twist and just clean that through with some cleaner. Like that. Little blow through, and I usually just hold it up to the light. Hold these up to the light and you'll see the light coming through the tip at the end if it's nice and clean. Give a little clean through. That one's nice and clean. So that's that bit. You can slide your floating nozzle back into your air cap, so you're basically looking at that. So you've got your nozzle into the air cap. That can go back on the brush. They just locate and screw back on. You've not got to nip these up really tight. You don't need to get pliers on these. These are just, I always do these finger tight and just nip it up. Job done. No spanners involved with this brush. You can put the back piece back on, nice and easy. Pull that out, get your trigger. That's your trigger in. Your prong cap that's been soaking. It's very rarely you get dirt on the prong caps, very rare, because most of the time most people work with the prong caps off. I like to work with the prong cap on because you can still get rid of your tip drying with this prong cap. That's the way it's designed, so you can pinch and clean the front of your needle as well, and it just protects your needle. So if your brush falls out your airbrush hanger and goes dink, it would only take from that sort of height, dropping down without one of these prong caps on, and you'll bend your needle, because they're very fine needles, you'll bend it. So keep your prong cap on, then get your needle. I always super lube the backs, bit of super lube on the needle, so you've got a little dot of super lube on the needle, pinch, then just lube the needle up like that, guide it in the back, slide it forward, and you will feel it stop. It won't go any further because that's now entered the nozzle, the floating nozzle inside. It goes so far. You've not got to push really hard on these. I usually go one finger to the back and just hold that tension so it don't move the needle back. Put that finger on the chuck, that thumb on the chuck, keep the tension, and then just tighten it like that, and that's your needle located. Get the back, slide the back on, drop it on the airline, then I go in with water, and there you go, nice clean brush. You can do a little back bubble with the water in, blast it through. And that's your H&S done. So, very easy brush to get on with, guys. You've just seen me strip it down there. It's really easy, and that's what I like about these brushes. They're just easy. So that's the Growlers Edition Infinitec cleaned. We'll move on to an iwata. Now, this one is dirty. You can see in that cut, we've had black paint in that. Now with the iwata, same thing, you can take your lid off, that can go in the soak. Take your back off to one side, you can take your crown cap off, that can go in on soak. Slide your needle out, we can drop that to one side. When it comes to the triggers in these, same thing, grab your chuck at the end, pull back, and these needles, these triggers won't pull straight out. You've got to come up, turn and take out, because these triggers are on two little bar pins that slide down into the body, and then you can let this go. If you do take this off, that's the chuck, if you undo this part of the body, that mechanism comes out in one hit. It's got like the bit on the end here, that little floaty bit there, that's what your trigger sits up against. So when you put this back in, I'll just show you this way, you can see there you've got your little point to the top, then you've got the wider bit at the bottom. Always make sure that the small bit at the top goes in first. So you slide that in like that, goes in, and then that bit comes up in the brush there. You can see that bit just popping up in the brush. So you slide that in and that bit comes up. So always make sure that that part of the top goes in first, and you don't put it the opposite way round. With the flat piece like that, that bit goes to the bottom, the pointy bit of it goes to the top. So that's your mechanism out. Now you undo the next part, which is basically sort of the air cap piece off, which is that piece there. Now this is where iwatas start to get fiddly. Now you've just seen how quick the H&S can get stripped down, but when it comes to the iwata, this is the HPC Plus. you've got your tiny little nozzle there on the end, which you will need to take off with the spanner. And you have to undo these with the spanner really carefully, take them off and put them somewhere where you're not going to lose them, because they are minute, guys, and if they drop on the floor they are gone. So I'm going to leave this on. We're going to cotton bud, get some cleaner in your cup and just clean through the front end of your cup. Drop some cleaner in there, give that a clean, like that. Drop that in there. Paper towel and just clean inside your cup. Cotton bud again and just go to the inside of the cup, down inside the cup, and give that a real good clean. Down right at the bottom of that cup, because you can get paint build up down the bottoms. So that's that clean. This one on the iwata, the air cap that I just cut off, you can drop that in cleaner because you've got no seal on that to the body. Needle, same again, you're doing pinch with a bit of cleaner, pinch and pull through, pinch and pull through, like that. You can do the same again with the Dremel on this one. This is a 0.3 needle, so that's a little bit more stronger. You'll find that the 0.3, 0.5s, they're a lot stronger. When you start coming down, the needle size is like 0.2, 0.015, they're a lot finer. So that's the needle clean. We will put this back in the body, so that piece goes through. Screw that up. Then you can get your trigger. Now these triggers, pull back, put your trigger in like that, turn, and it will locate itself, and that's your triggering. I've got black paint all over my hands. Give the body a wipe down. These are really nice brushes. The HPC Plus is a really nice brush for working long periods of time. It's good on detail and it's good for getting paint coverage down. So the bits you've soaked, the air cap, little wipe down, get the paint off the thread at the front where your crown cap goes on, just give that a good clean. Little blow through, that can go back on, that just screws up and locates like that. Crown caps will get dirty on these. If you're using your crown cap, these will get covered in paint, I guarantee it. On the fronts of these, you can get a cotton bud and just push into the crown caps on these and just twist and clean. Drop your crown cap on. Needle, iwata super lube again, just a drop, pinch round the needle, locate your needle, you'll feel it go to the end again, so finger, bit of tension, other finger, thumb, tighten your chuck up, and that's your brush done. So the iwata it's a great brush. It didn't take long to clean, as you've just seen there, it didn't take long to clean. to get it going. But if you've got to take that nozzle off the front, they can be a little bit fiddly. It'll blast through. So that's that one clean. Your lid, again, clean around the top thread of the lids. So clean the lid, especially around the thread, around that edge, because then your lid will go on nice. That's that one nice, done. So that's the iwata HPC Plus cleaned. Now we're going to move on to the creos. Now, creos PS290, cup off, soak that. Front retaining ring, you can soak that. Spot cap or prong cap, you can soak that. The actual cup comes off like that. Now that, once you take the needle out, that's as far as I strip these brushes down. I don't go taking the nozzles off, because the nozzle is the same sort of principle as the iwata. It needs a little spanner, so a little bit fiddly. I just literally clean the needle with this brush. Because they're a 0.5, you can blast your cleaners through these, and it just basically does the job for you, blasting your thinners through. So needle clean. I'll get a cotton bud and just clean inside here. You can see how dirty this is. Just give it a little clean through down there, and you clean up. Like that. Then I'll get cotton wool pad, a little bit of cleaner on there, and just wipe the body down. Because I guarantee you will get paint on this brush when you use it, because it pumps the paint out. You can get a lot of overspray coming back on you, so just give the body a wipe down, same as your cup, thinners. This has got dried solvent on it, so thinners will clean this up really well. So that's your cup nice and clean. Screw your cup back on like that. Your prong cap. Now when it comes to your air cap, which is the fan cap, just give this a good soak, because these can get clogged, and you've got tiny little, when you look inside these this way, when you look inside them, you've got an air hole either side, and they will come out the two prongs on the front. Now them two little holes on the prongs on this air cap, they are tiny. So I'll usually get the pipe cleaner, the smallest one you can get, or something like a 0.2 needle if you've got a spare one, and just go up the 2 air holes and make sure they're nice and clear. Get your pipe cleaner and just clean the prongs either side. Give that a little blow through. That can slide back on, and they just locate and slide back on the 290. Then you've got your little retaining ring that holds that on. Just give that a little wipe off on the threads. That goes over, and you just tighten that up like that, and then you can adjust your fan. So if you want your fan to be sort of like that or that way, you can adjust it on how you want on that, and then just nip that up. It's basically like a bigger spray gun where you adjust the front where your 2 air horns are. So that's that bit. You can slide your needle back in to the front. Same again, I always go one finger to the back. Just give it a little bit of tension, the other finger, thumb, and then tighten your chuck up like that. Drop the body on the back like that. Give the body a little wipe down, because this has got paint on it. A bit of cleaner. And these are brilliant brushes, guys. If you're looking at the PS290 Mr. Hobby Creos, they're brilliant. Buy one. Highly recommended if you want to get some paint down. They're really good. You don't need to keep taking the nozzle off these. I've probably took the nozzle off this with the spanner probably twice. There's been people that have put comments up saying they've sheared the thread on the nozzles. You don't need to take them out, you really don't, because you can clean easy. So drop a bit of cleaner in. Now you'll see on these, if it's picking it up, you'll know instantly if your prong cap is dirty. If it's dirty, your fan pattern will be really short and stubby. But if you've got it done right, your fan will be nice and smooth like that. If you want to back bubble these, just put your finger over the front of the prong cap like that, and you can bubble back. Like that. Just blocking the air holes up at the front, and that fan's absolutely perfect on that gun. So that's nice and clean. Drop some water in, and these things hammer the paint down. They really do. Get your cap that goes on your cup, a good clean down again. Get in that edge, always clean that edge of the caps. Just pinch and work your way around it. And that's your PS290 clean. Nice and easy. As I say, you don't need to keep unscrewing with your little spanner the front end, because these are a 0.5. They clean through. If you drop thinners in this and leave it pointing forward to the front end, that will soften any paint up, and it will just clear it straight out because it's a big needle and nozzle setup. So that's the 290 done. The last one is my Infinity, the custom Infinity. I'll run you through that one. I'm going to pause and get some more kitchen towel because I'm completely ran out. I'll see you in a minute. Right, I'm back, guys. I've got some fresh cleaning in the pot because that was absolutely caked in paint. We've got some clean kitchen towel, and we're going to do my custom Infinity. So basically like the Growlers edition, just a little bit different on your trigger, because the Growlers edition Infinity, the trigger sits one way, you can't spin the trigger around. The older Infinities, the actual trigger bit here, so I'll show you in a minute. We'll strip this one down, same again, take the back off, undo the chuck, slide your needle out, put your needle to one side. Now this is a 0.15, so it's a lot finer, so a lot easier to dink the front end. You can then pull back and take your trigger out. Now what I mean by the trigger on these where you've got your half moon bar on these can turn all the way around. You can't do this on the ground as it's set to one position. So that's your trigger out. Take the cup off, soak your cup, soak your crown cap, the prong cap, take the air cap off with your nozzle. You can put your nozzle in, you've got your air cap, just clean the front of your air cap at the top, because sometimes you get a bit of paint build up on them front pieces there. And if you do get paint on there, it'll give you a funny spray pattern because you're blocking that airway where it comes out the front. So give that a little clean. You can take the back part of the body off, like that, which leaves you the front end again like this. So if you want to soak it face down and just soak it to where your fluid goes into where you screw your cup on. So you've got fluid to about here, and you can stand that up and soak that front end in cleaner, and that will get rid of any stubborn paint that's inside. But I'm just going to use a cotton bud, dip it in the cleaner, clean the body inside there, and all around that thread, like that, and then clean this way. You'll feel the cotton bud stop and just clean that thread in there. So that's nice and clean. And as I say, if you do get paint that goes back in here, don't use solvent, use soapy water or a mild airbrush cleaner. Get your cotton bud, place it inside there, give it a little clean, this way. Nice and simple, like that. Wipe the body down, this is clean anyway, but wipe the body down, and that's your body part on the H&S Infinity clean. You can, when it's the detail brush, my own detail brush, I always give these a clean as well. Just clean round these bits. And this is where your spring sits inside here, so when you move this back like that, that bounces and your spring's inside there. So that is contact to contact there. So I always put a little bit of super lube on there, just around there, and just work that in, make it nice silky smooth. I'll put a bit of super lube on the threads here, just a little bit, and then that goes nice and silky into the body, like that. Pull back, drop your trigger in, that's your trigger in, nice and easy. So that's nice and smooth going back. Just good around the bottom of that trigger, a little clean, and then I drop a little bit of super lube just on the back of that trigger, so when it moves on that bar it's nice and silky smooth that way. As you can see, when you slide that back, that half moon bar rocks against the pin coming through it. So I'll put a little bit of super lube on that, it just makes it a little bit more smoother. Cup, same process as before. Clean your threads, because you will get a little bit of paint build up on them threads. Kitchen works brilliant with airbrushes, and as I say, cotton bud's brilliant. Slide screw your cup back on, like that. Your nozzle, get your little pipe cleaner, slide inside, little twist round, like that. Give it a clean. Now this is how I made this nozzle better as well. I mounted the nozzle into the Dremel, got one of the pipe cleaners compound, and then just polished inside here. So this was nice and polished as well. And I think that's what makes this brush work really well, because everything I've done on it has been sort of polished. I polished all down inside here, through in here. Then you can slide your nozzle back in to your air cap piece, screw that on like that, just nip it up, you're not going to go tight. Your prong cap that goes on the end, as I say, very rare you get a bit of paint build up. If you do get paint on this, it's on the two prongs on the insides, but it's very rare. Slide that on. The needle is going to have a polish, so we'll hook this into the Dremel. Like so. Just make sure your Dremels turn right down, guys. I've had it where I've chucked a needle in it, I think it was the Takumi needle, and it was spinning at 45. The needle just went like that, embedded itself into the table and just snapped the needle completely in half. So turn your Dremel down, right down. A little bit of cutting compound or cleaner of your choice. Put it round your needle like that, turn it on, and just pinch and let that compound polish your needle. And it just makes your needle silky smooth. And that's the dirt off the needle. So it does work. So that's really silky smooth. Get your iwata super lube again on the needle, pinch halfway down. You've not got to go right to the front, just going through the bit where it goes in the body. Get your needle, slide down to the front, you'll feel it stop like that. Finger on the back, that finger and your thumb, keep the tension and just nip that up. And that brush is absolutely silky smooth now, really is nice. Get the back piece, put that on, hook it into your airline. Little bit of water. Really, really nice, quiet working brush. So that's my H&S cleaned, ready for the next project that it will be used on. Just give the body a wipe down. Like that. And that's your brush, all clean, ready. All them brushes, all nice and clean. So, nice and simple, guys. Cheap products to use. If you've got a Dremel, brilliant bits of kit for polishing your needles. You can use hand drills, like a little cordless drill. But just be really careful with your needles, and as I say, if you've got a Dremel, turn the speed down. That's the first thing you check. Turn the speed down. Really locate your needle. This one's good because it's got a chuck on it, on the Dremel, so you can just tighten it up. but it works wonders with your needles, and nothing worse than a needle that you've just sort of cleaned with cleaner and one that you've polished. You'll feel the difference. One that you just wiped through with clean, you'll feel it feels grainy, and even that is a brand new brush, and that needle was a lot smoother from brand new after you've polished it. And it just, I think it makes the paint flow better. You'll notice the difference, especially in the top cut. Your paint flow is just really, really nice with these brushes. So nice little quick one. We've done the Creos PS290 strip down. We've done the Iwata strip down, HBC Plus and clean, and 2 infinities. So that's how I'll clean my brushes. They'll go back on the shelf, ready for the next episode on some artwork. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe, press that notification, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.